Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Album. I am he, your griot to tell you a story, and don't believe a word I say. And thank you so much for the four of you who have generously given me a gift on my PayPal, which shows that it's keep working. At the last one was a few weeks ago, so it still works. So anyone who wishes to give a gift, I would truly appreciate it. Now, I don't do this. This isn't a transactional thing. You give me something, I'll give you something. No, I do this to serve, right? But we live in a material world. I still need a few dollars here and there. And it's always been very magical the last 4 years. Every PayPal gift that has come in, which has been, not a lot, but just always enough to get me by, right? So I really want to thank you, everyone who has, and I encourage anyone who wishes to give me a gift on PayPal, and that's the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And you want to get a hold of me at my email, that's it, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And anybody who wants to send me a photo of their hand, both sides, and pretty much from like about here to here, I'll give you a reading, right? Give you some insight. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give you an insight on what's going on. And remember, there is no, you know, pretty much everything is everyone's opinion. You believe, anything anyone says about anything. Um, and, it's, eh. So today is Sunday. And I basically I go to three churches. I go to the Ku Klux Klan um, Southern Baptist Church and the Methodist I Own Everything Church and the Roman Catholic Pagan Church. And all three, what is a church? It's not so much those nomenclatures I put on it, like the KKK, Southern Baptist Church. That's the religion, not the church itself. The church itself is the people in that community, and those people are very, very nice. And the Methodist Church, I own everything Methodist Church. Again, the people in those community in that church is very nice people, right? And again, the pagan Roman Catholic Church is the most generous. They're the people of all the churches. There are about 300 churches in the county, and most of them are just there to pick up the nickels and dimes off the plate. The Catholic Church actually does a tremendous amount. It has its own health clinic. It feeds the people who need it. They have the best food outlet. Um, the other one is this other Baptist church, and that's very good. And the one I go to is another one that does a very, very nice job. And they do a great job with their community and their kids. They're there for everybody. They support everyone. They do a great job. Um, but the religious point of view, and so there's this real dynamic between religion and theology, right? What is theology? The study of you know, God's unconditional love and Jesus's unconditional forgiveness and Buddha's unconditional patience and Vishnu's unconditional servitude towards um, the concept of the cultural dynamic of everyone getting along. And again, these are just my subjective points of view of those religions. I've studied them for a long time. Now, I don't go to any of these churches' services. I go to what is known as fellowship. And their fellowship is the study of their book, right? Of their text, right? But all three Baptist, Methodist, and Roman Catholic are, Christian, and they have the Old and New Testament. But it was interesting. The most interesting fellowship was in the Baptist church this Sunday, and because I got there right at the perfect time when a guy was teaching, John, and And I'm pretty familiar with it. And as he went through it, and I don't abruptly, you know, throw in my 2 cents. I only step into it when I can add something that people go, hmm. So I did that today, and basically, when he asked a question like, "What's this?" right, and he asks the teacher asks the minister, and the minister just says some, and then someone else who's another person who's reading can give him the quote he's looking for, and then I spoke to what it basically the story that Jesus was talking about, right, and he was talking about the apostles and how at the last supper and he takes them out to the garden. He tried to introduce them to God and they kept falling asleep and he's just like, ugh. And he knows what's coming and he's told them all about it and he's basically told them that they're just complaining about who's going to take over when he's gone. And he tries to give them the 411 on hey, there should be no religion. You should act. It's all about your action, what you're doing. Look at me. Do I try to, collect any money? I mean, they were about to make me king just last Sunday. I was walking down the street and they put palms on everything. And then, they invited me for lunch on Tuesday to have me on the poster and I threw the money changers, out of the temple. And that's what had the Pharisees, give us Barabbas. So here we are, right? And we are at this place where every 60,000 years or so, the human race gets itself into a quandary where they are either going to throw themselves under the bus or they're going to step into love's co creation, right? And here we are. We're right at that moment, right? And here it is, 7 minutes and 7 seconds into the show. And, here we go again, right? What's it about? It's about you, the individual, being the decider, stepping into conscious intent I am, meaning everything you do, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. That's how you start meditating. That is, a prayer or a meditation, right? And the other one is conscious aware I am, conscious aware I am, conscious aware I am. You are at that point where you can make this decision. Well, I'm back from my journeys. I have spent last month between the first or second week of January and last Tuesday or Wednesday when I got back, and it was snow on the ground, and it was really cold, and then it got colder, and now it's getting warmer. It's going to be in the 70s the next few days, and in the 20s to 40s at night, and so that's like a harbinger of spring. I mean, we still have winter to go. It's not even March yet, so. Um, and we really, got up here in the hollers in the in the Sawtooth Mountain accordion range between the Appalachian and the Blue Ridge, where I am. Really, you don't want to put anything in the ground in your garden until May, really. So, it's still winter, but it's a changing winter, and the everyone's bailing from California and Florida and Atlanta and places in between and coming here, right? This is the New Jerusalem, and it really isn't. It was when I got here 20 years ago. It was, the New Jerusalem, but you know, it was just me, so it was good. So I had 18 years of living in a nature preserve where all the animals loved me and came by me, and I could feed them out of my hand, etc., etc. Let's see. Let's see if this little device works here. Do. We'll give our sister Fish a jingle, see if she's around. See if the phone works. It's 1/10 of 1/10 of 1 bar. I don't think it's going to work. Anyway, so Um, I'm still writing away on my novels. I'm spending more time on the deep green, getting it ready for the spring, cleaning it up, you know, because nothing is popped out of the ground, so you can see all the garbage all over the place, and I can slowly go around, pick it up. That's what I did this morning before I took off to church. And I was at one of my the last holler diner left, and had breakfast. I had brunch. I had a breakfast and I had a lunch. Right, brunch. And I stayed there about 4 hours reading and writing and drinking coffee and talking to people. All the people coming in from church, I talked to, and they like that. And people who own the place enjoy the fact that I entertain the crowd. Right, and I've been there. I mean, everyone in the 3 counties knows me. I've helped everyone in some sort or another. And there's a state prison in the other state nearby. And I talked to the guy who runs it. I said, "So, why don't you hire me? I need employment. I need a place to be warm in the winter. You need, like, a den mother in this place. And I can demographically take this and basically take your 800 folk and make them non-recidivists, make them tax-paying good citizens. I can, educate them. I can teach them a trade. I can interact them with, the new technologies, and I know all the people who need plumbers and electricians and carpenters and IT guys and people who work in restaurants. I know everybody who needs people, and I can put them in that position. And we can build a protocol that will enable all of this to happen. And you will get all of the credit for it. Just hire me as forget, you know, putting me on the payroll, just a consultant, right? And give me a nice little place that I can put my head down when it gets too cold or too hot or too this or too that, right? And you, like I said, you need a den mother in this place, right? So um, I have the powers to be working on that one. That should be interesting because I am looking for. I just can't sit around here in the deep green because it isn't, the beautiful bucolic um, garden paradise. All of the the cockroaches are coming out of the boardwalk of California, Florida, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Georgia, and coming up here, right? And they're destroying the place because this place is super duper very sensitive, and they've only been doing it now for 3 years, and it's this one group of money laundering thieves bought one whole end of the lake, right? And even though it's been raining and flooding other parts of the 3 counties out, their part is getting out. So there is no water. And where they are, it's like, historically, there is no wells. So they built, 600 sites and sold them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all they did was build a really shitty road up this hill. And there's no electricity, no water, and no septic. And because it's so steep, they won't be able to do septic because it'll end up in the next guy's basement. So this is what I'm watching go on, right? So my whole life, first I went to Soho when it was like nothing there. And then I went to Tribeca when there was nothing there. And then I went down to Wall Street when there was nothing there. Then I went over to Williamsburg, Brooklyn when there was nothing there. Now all those places are like super duper top line hipster jungle, right? And the Lower East Side, when it was like, I lived in this neighborhood where 5 people got murdered every week for 20 years. New York City was bankrupt from 1970 to 1990, right? And so, Miss Haley, who's governor of South Carolina, I think she was, and then she was Carrot Head's person in the UN. She's now running for, Republican president, right? And she'd probably make a good president, right? She'd make the first colored female president in America. That would be great, and she would be a lot better. Barack Obama killed more people in the wars than Georgie Porgy, right? And and Biden is out carrot heading the carrot head, right? So it's none of this stuff is what you think it is. None of this stuff is advertised. And what's happening in Ukraine, Ukraine virtually can't win that war. What it can do is basically destroy Ukraine, so it'll be just a smoldering hole in the ground, and Russia will be destroyed, right? And they can keep Russia involved in a war for at least another 5 years. Russia's going to have a all-out offensive, um, and they won't be as incompetent as when they rolled in, right? And so, but there's been their military and their political system has systemic issues that won't allow them to win the war, right? Kill a lot of people. They'll get a lot of their people killed, and it will destroy their economics and their industry and their environment to the point in 3 years that the Russian people will rise up and it will look more like Afghanistan than Russia, right? And then, the corporate um, clan will come in and offer what's left of the Russian folk a opportunity they can't refuse, right? And we'll have continuation of this new order, which is the same order, right? It's an extension of the Holy Roman Empire, which extended into Mein Kampf. You guys should read Mein Kampf, both books, one and two, right? To see what the unipolar, transnational, uh, you know, fascist oligarchy has. Hail Hydra. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Marvel. I mean, Stan did a great job at defining the worldview of, or not defining, but enumerating, right? And all the talking heads that I pursue, and all my, inside informants, basically lead me to the thing that, hey, this war in the Ukraine was a scripted thing, and the people who think they know what's going on just hate it when I say that. They lose their minds, right? And China, we set them friggin' up when Nixon and Henry Kissinger went there. Mao was about to die. He was on his last legs, and so right, and so the next three guys who took over, they did a really good job. If they had stuck to that motif, China would be in a good position. But Xi took over and then, rebranded China into the, you know, uh, thing of the religion of the personality, right? Just like Mao was a religion of the personality. And how good did Mao's great leap forward do for China? It killed 60 million people in about 3 years, right? You're going to see that if forget 60 million, you're going to see 500 million people starve to death because the last 30 something years, um, those three guys dragged China out from the Stone Age into being, one of the largest, if not the largest, industrial manufacturing economy of the world, building shit, right? But now people are realizing with COVID and a few other things that the supply chain has to be closer to home. And the United States is, set to do that because NAFTA, most people don't has never read NAFTA. NAFTA basically made Canada, the United States, and Mexico one country. And Carrot Head redid NAFTA to double down on that, right? And so, and when he was going on about, building a wall, no, sorry, there is no wall, right? And, the most productive, high level, high grade workers in the world are Mexicans. The guys who are on those Stavador factories right on the border making parts for cars and computers and everything else, they are high level. They aren't just, Jose cutting your lawn, right? These guys, because they were schooled, meaning those factories had schools in them to teach them the high level of technology to work with robots and computers and you name it. So that kind of manufacturing, we have a strong. We don't have to rebuild it in America. We got it in Mexico. And all you have to do is open your eyes and see this. Plus, the United States makes more food than any other place on the planet, right? And we are also one of the largest producers of fuel, especially natural gas, which makes, fertilizer and makes plastic. And Germany is about to go. They don't have. Germany is the engine of the EU's economic miracle, right? And if they don't have natural gas, that's it. They're going to, close. You know, that's it. They're going to be like Detroit this year. And so you're going to see an economic collapse on a level in the EU that no one's ready for, right? And going along with this war in the Ukraine and Russia, ooh baby, right? And then maybe if someone hands the Blads a new chapter of the book, it will bring the war into NATO, right? And that's when the United States, and that's when you know, the carrot head will be president once again, and he will, so, when that goes down, he goes, "Okay, we've had it. We gave all the money. We're going to give no more weapons. We're pulling back. We're going to feed ourselves. We're no longer selling oil on the market. You guys want to, Mister Saudi Arabia, want to sell it with the dinar? Go ahead, have a good time. But you still have all those treasury notes. Same with China. China got paid for 40 years building crap for us with treasury notes that are basically worthless, right? And so we'll step back and we will be fine, or at least within the concept of whatever fine is, compared to what's going on there. Africa, baby, please, baby, right? So this is all you have to do is go watch Gene Roddenberry's, Next Generation. The first one, where they go to fire station and they meet up with Q, right? They get flown into another universe where they bounce into the Borg, which they shouldn't have for another 100 years. And then Borg, oh wow, these guys, we're gonna go absorb them. And so, but that scene, that first, show where the French captain goes, you know, uh, to go on court, and you see what Earth was. This thing between Louis the 14th and Clockwork Orange. And that's kind of where we're heading, right? But the world will be heading there. We will be something else. We will be this you know thing that will be, and we will have a new compact, and the compact will be with Japan, Australia, um, and India, right? A top tier in Asia, and the lower tier in Asia, which will still be part of that, will be, Vietnam, and the Philippines, and who else, and a few others, right? And whoever has the workers and the resources that we need. But we will get rid of all our military bases, or a good deal. I mean, we have something like 600 of them. We'll go down to like 50 to the places strategically we really need, right? And we might even annex the Philippines because they were going to be one of our states. They were going to be like Hawaii, right? I mean, Hawaii and the Philippines were going to be one state, and then World War II came, and it got a little complicated. So anyway, um, that's my, and all this, scholastics. When I talk this way, the scholastics, oh, you just have a crystal ball. You can tell the future. You're like a religion. Yeah. No, sorry. This show is not, a religion. I'm not Reverend Al. I'm Sensei Al Bob, right? your griot to tell you a story and don't believe a word I say, right? I say that for a reason. Don't believe a word I say. But what you should, what a griot does is tell you a story, not all this 25 minutes and 25 seconds. This was a story to engage your little gray cells, as what's her name's French detective would say. Use your little brain cells. So, and that's why those three churches that are solely, unbelievably different from each other, all enjoy my company for fellowship. They all like it when I show up for Bible studies because I don't say this is the way it is. This is my. I said, what do you think of this? Like today, they were going on and on about how if you're not Christian, you're going to hell. All the Jews are going to hell. All the, you know, Muslims are going to hell. All of the, Buddhists are going to hell. All the, et al. Are going to hell, right? And I said, excuse me, God is all knowing and all loving, correct? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He is. Yep. Okay. And God made everything, correct? Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, he did. Yep. And we're all made in his image and likeness, right? Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. And I said, so what does image mean? And he go, uh, so is image like and made? Isn't that like manufactured? Uh, 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 uh. And so if God made all of this, and there's only 15% is Christian, what's up with that? Uh, and so that's why they like, because it gets them to think, gets them to go there and think about what it is, right? So, and that's what this show is all about, getting you to think, you know. So, anyway, so Colonel Sanders' dogs are back at the poor guy who has the Airbnb. And there's nobody here for the next week, so you may see me, right? Because it's just about a mile from my front door instead of going 30 miles like I did today. And I didn't even do a show because I was busy talking to everybody. And I don't like putting people on the show unless I know they're on the show and they want to be on the show. Some do, like when I make the phone calls. But I, did the Holler Diner on the show, people would, I don't want to put them there unless they want to be there, right? So, oh, it's sad to watch these dogs because Colonel Sanders, every dog he has this one bitch who just keeps popping him out. He's got close to 40 dogs up there. He has no idea. They all come down see me. I've trained them all not to come into the big green. I sit on the edge where my car is, and I have this nice folding chair, and I have a pocket full of little Bickies, dog biscuits for them. And I do this, they sit down. I do this, they lie down. I do this, they stop, right? And they do it when I'm not even there. Drive in, and they'll all be lined up in the road, half asleep, sitting, playing with each other, but they don't go and make a mess like they used to on my North 40. So that's all it takes is interaction, and that's all it takes with human beings. If Russia and Ukraine should never have, they're like brothers. They are the same people, and they're killing each other to great extent. And the Ukrainian folk, I know Ukrainians. When I grew up in Harlem, Second Avenue, every 3 blocks a different nationality, and the one crew you did not mess with. Um, the Italians, they tried to be the mafia. Um, you know, the Russians tried to be their own gang. But Ukraine, they're not none of that. Individually, if you mess with those people, they will kill you, period. If you're nice to them, they're unbelievably nice to you. And that was my experience. And that's how I rolled because I watched it, the little gang wars between all these folk, and so I was always the negotiator, right? I was always the peacemaker, amongst my friends, because I never pick sides, and I always talk to everyone individually. So whatever smack I wanted to say to them, I said it to them and not to a group of people. So X, Y, and Z people would get embarrassed or whatever, right? And that's the key of negotiations: individuality, intimacy in relationships. And that's what's missing with all of, because the unipolar transnational corporate fascist oligarchy basically realizes the only way they can get over is divide and conquer. And that's what's going on, right? So I would not be surprised. The United States and China will not have a war, right? Because, Ukraine spent 8 years getting ready to have a war with Russia, right? That their little tussle up there in the Donbass was just a live fire exercise for training, right? They sharpened the blade of 70,000 of their soldiers. The United States and England gave them standoff weapons to go after ground troops, and aircraft. And logistically, they broke their logistics. And Russia may get a better, um, larger, better working army, but their logistics suck, And if they can't feed and get, ammunition to the guys, if they can't put pants on them and give them shoes, it's going to be a problem, right? So, and yeah, they got a whole bunch of T-60 tanks that they took out of mothballs. Yes, and the more you get, 500 tanks coming at you, and you only have 20. Yeah, but a Tiger tank and the other tanks that England and America are giving have night vision, have this, have that, and can if you use them smartly, that's a big equalizer. So I don't see anyone winning this war anytime soon. I don't see China. I mean, I can't. Xi has so isolated himself. We knew what was going on with Russia because we had everyone's phone tapped, right? NSA was listening to everybody, right? And their C3 was so terrible that commanders had to use their cell phones to communicate. So we listened to all of that, not a problem. So the bottom line is Xi doesn't talk to anybody. So we really have no idea what's going on in China, except we can observe how unbelievably incompetent shit's going on in that country. And that's because the people who are supposed to be the managers, they don't want to step out. They just do what they're told. So they can't be blamed. Because Xi has taken out every person who's come in and said, we should do such and such. Bang, right? So no one's doing that anymore, right? So why do you think they had the zero policy for 2, 3 years, and which was terrible, right? And why their vaccine didn't work, and why this doesn't work, and why that doesn't work, and like I said, they have no fuel. Every bit of energy comes from outside their country, right? They have nothing there. They have no resources to make anything. Everything comes from outside. They have no food to feed their people, comes from outside. They have no fertilizer for whatever little food they grow. So that stops, and it comes in one. There is a bottleneck into China, right to China Sea, that all India has to do is like put 3 destroyers and tell every commercial ship, hey, this is a war zone. Don't come in. Now they don't have to fire on them by just saying that. By saying that we're not going to protect you, the insurance won't be there. So none of those commercial ships will get insurance. So look how that's going for Russia right now, where they're trying to get oil out on tankers. Not doing too good, right? Because they can't get any insurance, right? So it's a recipe for uber disaster, and the only winner is Mr. Globaloney. Now, why is Mr. Globaloney doing this now and not before, right? Is because, and why is we were moving in that direction of Mr. Globaloney, and if we just kept doing what we had been doing up until in 2018, if we just kept being that, we would have been, Mr. Global only by 2050. Well, why are they pushing so hard now and making such chaos? Because they know if they do not come about, that's it for them. Mr. Globaloney cannot, again, Russia and Chinese demographics show that Chinese largest population is over 50, and the largest is the people in the 60s who don't work in factories, who have saved money, and all of their investments are going south because the only thing they could put money into was real estate, and that is like whoa. So China is toast, and so is Russia because Russia has the same problem. The largest. I mean, they have taken somewhere between 400,000 and 4 million women and children that were in Ukraine and brought them to Russia to try and build up their population. But all they've done is injected, a what do they call them? A fifth column, because there are all these Ukrainian people that they brought in there, not men, just children, and can bear babies, right? And those people are pissed off because they've been basically hijacked, shanghaied, taken, right, property. And so what are they going to be? Those mommies are going to raise those kids up to hate the Russian. We're here in Russia. You're going to a Russian school. You're being forced to speak a Russian language, but you're going to kill those Russians. You're going to, when you get to be 16 and they put you in the army, they give you a machine gun, you're just going to take out as many of them you can until they kill you. And that's how Ukrainians kind of roll. And you'd think the Russians would have known that by now, but somehow they don't. So anyway, 36 minutes and 36 seconds, and nobody's watching. I wonder who will watch this afterwards. And the dogs are just, walking in and out and shitting on the porch. That's really good for the guy who owns this place. Anyway, so, and Captain, Colonel Sanders, he don't care. Had another 20 puppies. And he doesn't even take care of the 20 he already has. He's got 60 puppies. And it's going to get to a point where now they obey me, right? I mean, there are a couple of cheeky ones but they don't, they don't do what they used to do. Now, about 5 years ago, a mama cat showed up, a real mountain feral cat showed up, and she was having kittens. And so she kind of went underneath one of my boxes and had the kittens. And I put a little milk out there for her. And I didn't give her a hard time for doing that, right? And they stayed there, and they were very good at going after the mice and the rats and the voles. But they let the bunnies and my friends, right. And then they'd go away, right? And then every spring they'd come back, and one of those kitties would have, um, you know, a litter, right? And so another one of those kitties, and they're like bobcats. They're not like house cats. They're like bobcats. But they all know me. I'm friendly to them. I don't do anything to, you want to go under there and have the kitties, no problem, because they leave, by the middle of April, May, June, they're gone. I mean, they're kind of around, but they're no longer underneath there, right? And so it was quite interesting. The two cheeky dogs that are the was the first and second dog, and they're just like Colonel Sanders. They have that. The other dogs have all different personalities, and so, but the first two act just like Colonel Sanders, fat and stupid and selfish and childish, right? So anyway, they started barking, and it was truly amazing. This one bobcat was just in the bushes, and the dog didn't even see him. It was just like running around barking and just being, "Look at me, look at me!" And soon as the dog kind of saw the cat, so cat went right at the cat. Just stood right there. It was like a lion. It just waited, and the dog came right up, and the cat went whang right into the dog's eyes. It's like I'm just sitting in my chair looking at that, and all the other dogs who hated that guy Just kind of went, mm-hmm, yep, look at that moron. So, and that's Colonel Sanders, right? He does all this crazy shit. And again, I look at him, I see his family, the kids are okay, the wife is okay. That means that he's not that bad, except he's fat, stupid, and he'll have a. I mean, he doesn't do any exercise. I mean, I was bigger than he was, and he's only in his early 30s. I mean, I wasn't that big in my early 30s, and he cannot walk up the hill. He can't walk the half a mile to his house. It would be really good if he did, but he comes down on his motorcycle. He comes like on my lawn and digs it up, and it doesn't matter because all I have to do is like go with my rake and rake the grass together, step on it. And, within a week, the grass looks like it did, right? Because that's how that grass is growing on top of rock. You know, how many people can get grass to grow on rock? Not many. So, anyway, nothing he does really, um, you know, gets to me. Now, there are people who want to buy me out. And, if they come across with what I need, hey, not a problem. Uh, I'll let them deal with everybody because everything around here is getting bought up. And once people start building, I mean, these roads were made for small farms, not for gigantic trucks that bring stone and heavy equipment. And I was talking to a guy at church who's a excavator, and I said, "So what are you doing?" He told me what he's doing, basically clearing lots for all this. And I said, "So you grew up here, right?" He goes, "Yep." And your father was excavator for you, yep. And I said, I remember you when you were like 7 years old playing with the tractors in the dirt, and now you're doing what your dad did and what your grandpa did, right? But your grandpa was more a farmer and an excavator on the side because there wasn't that much work to do that. But your dad, he was all over the place. And he goes, "Yep." And so I said, "So what do you see?" He goes, "It's not good because we're clearing places where there's no water and where there's no way really to have roads for the kind of traffic that there's going to be here, and it's like having moving Charlotte into a place. It'll make Boone look like well planned." And Boone was this little slim valley and had you know a state teachers college there that was 800 students. Now it has 30,000 students are there just to like it's a what do they call those things, a play school, where you go skiing and canoeing and have a mom and dad go into Hawk for 300,000. So all I do is kind of look around and see, when I was in Roanoke, it was a metaphor of the United States. Every good, bad, and ugly thing I was going there. And that was 30 years ago when I first went in there to go, hmm. And, I went back there, you know, for January and February, and nothing has changed. I mean, certain things it went from the railroad town to, Carillion, the hospital town, but it's still the same, all the same motifs. And so, anyway, I will continue to tell stories. Hopefully, you find them interesting. Again, how about some thumbs up when you come back to watch this? How about leaving some comments? How about telling your friends, hey, this is guy, Sensei Al Bob at Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. He's really interesting. Right? So I'm more than PewDiePie. I'm more than TikTok. I'm more than any of those things. And I would suggest that, I've got close to 2,000 shows done. How many people? I've been doing this now. When May rolls around, I don't know if it'll be 4 years or 5 years, but something between that. And I have about 2,000 shows, no matter what, you know, YouTube says. So check it out, see what you get, and start putting, um, like Dragon did, these things on your hard drive, on your CD-ROMs, on your thumb drives, because the internet is going down. I don't know if this year, but soon. Soon the internet is going to be, all of social media will not be there. And it'll be interesting because, there's just 7 billion plus people, and maybe 2.3 billion are addicted to being on social media. Let's see what happens when they can't do that anymore. Anyway, anyone wants to get a hold of me, the dude awake 42 at Gmail. Dude awake 42 at Gmail. I want to throw anything on the old PayPal. I truly love it, appreciate it, and thank you very much for all those who have. I mean, I'm not, this ain't a job for me. It's more like a magic trick because every time I just need that extra 20 or $100, bingo, it shows up there, right? And for the last few years, it has. So it's not like anything. I probably don't make more than 2 to 400 bucks a year on the old PayPal. But whenever I need something, it usually comes in. And the other way to be happy in this materialist world is do not buy anything unless you have the money to buy. I mean, I live like a millionaire on 400 bucks a month because I do not spend money I do not have. Period. Right? I'm not worrying about it. And I have all my contingencies set up to be whatever it is, right? So I things can be annoying, but I don't let it get to me, right? I look at, I step back, I see my two little mantras, you know, um, a conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. You do that each in one breath 3 different times, and you will be in state. I can't meditate. Well, do that. Conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. Do it 3 times. And with the conscious intent of going into state, right? Now, depending on where and what and all, I think the next show I'll try and no, I will. No, I will do best. Let's say that to do a live chat where we do, um, you know, a guided meditation. Right? I'll give you a shot at that. Thanks for that one thumbs up, whoever did that. Esoteric Alchemist, good to see you, buddy. This is the guy, Mr. Alchemist here, who basically sent me a bunch of thumb drives with my shows. Alchemist, do you still put those shows on thumb drives? Do you have a collection of my shows on a medium that when the internet goes down, you'll have them? You can be the historian of that. This guy is also the guy who sent me. He used to send me these nice little packages of stuff, little gifts, and then somehow I hit the wrong button and he went away, and I couldn't figure out how it is. And then he came back as another name, and I love it that he did it because he is one of the foundation blocks of the cadre, right? But he sent me this drawing that he did when he was a child, and it was exactly as did a guided meditation about going into your Akashic record and then going over the bridge of your id into your superconscious mind. And he drew a drawing of it when he was a child, like 11 years before I did that show, and then he sent it to me. Right? Isn't that true, Doctor Esoteric Alchemist? Um, I don't know if he's still here, but anyway, he's the guy. So he's the bomb, and that's why the cadre, because it's roughly about 100 people. It's more than that, about 500 people, and maybe I don't know how many are there on a usual basis. Maybe 40, right? And some are there pretty regularly, and then they're not for a year or two. You know, like Buddy. Buddy is who's off in either Tasmania or Australia, someplace out there. He was first a troll, and then he became, you know, a spiritual leader of the cadre, and then he disappeared. And he emails me every now and then saying, "Hey, I'm alive," but other than that, so Mr. Alchemist, Dr. Alchemist, if you would wish, get a hold of me at the dudeawake42 at Gmail so we can have more of a a connective tissue conversation. I'd love to do that. And again, guys, remember, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, right? I have no idea about this technology, whatever little button is. I mean, I'm just lucky that I can. I mean, I did a whole bunch of shows a couple weeks ago and told John, you made everything private. I had no idea what he was talking about. He had to show me how I had inadvertently, instead of having it on public, I had it on private. So all the shows, I mean, you could watch it when I was doing them live, but then you couldn't watch it at all. And John wanted everyone to watch it because he was like in the shot most of the time, so that's why he came in. Hey, anyway. And so um, no one seems to be there, and so I love you all. And it's 50 minutes. When it hits 50 minutes and 50 seconds, I'm going out because it's still sunny and I have things to do before it gets nighttime. I love you all. I'll try and do a show tomorrow. I'll try and do a couple of shows this week. That's what I'll do. Right? I'll do a couple of shows this week. When it is, okay. But most of you guys watch this not live, but because I go back and watch it, 50 people. Oh, look, there are only 3 had been there when I ended. Then the other side of the coin is I ended and I'll see there's 40 people who watched. And then when I go back and it gets posted, it says that only 3. I mean, it's like, but that's okay because each show is a shamanic ceremony. I am the guy putting the shamanic pebble into the pond of the World Wide Web. It makes boom, 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 little waves, right? So that's I'm here to do that. I'm a lucky bastard. That was I made the deal with. I shook my hand with Bob, and he said, "I always got your back, kid, but you gotta be the decider." So I have been, right? But like I said, I got about 2 hours. What time is it now? Oh, 5:20. So about an hour of sunlight. The sun is already kind of going down, but it's still, I can get things I need done. Because it's supposed to be rainy, 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 rainy. But that doesn't mean it's going to be rainy, rainy, rainy. It might be cloudy, might be a little sprinkle. Yeah. But the other night, Friday, we had Thursday and through Saturday morning, we probably had 3 to 5 inches of rain, meaning all of the rivers and springs and streams around here were almost out of their bounds, right? And they're still pretty high right now. So if we got a lot of rain this week, the rain would go into the fields, right? And maybe into the roads, especially down in Boone, 40 miles down the hill from me, or over near Johnson City. And as it, on the other side of Johnson City, it starts to go into the flatlands of Tennessee, Jonesboro, and things of that nature. But me, I'm at the top of the Sawtooth Mountain accordion range between the Appalachian and the Blue Ridge, and that's why I came here, right? But it is spiritually so sensitive, and that's why it was great for me for 18 years. That's why, for the 8 years of recuperating from dying in 2014, you know, that's why I'm still alive because I was here most of the time, right? So, okay, gang, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.